So a little while back I had an issue with my tent while on a hiking trip. We got some really heavy rain one night and I realized that my tent was no longer waterproof. We had to leave the trail and get into town, so we hitched a ride into town. The only thing I could find around us was a hardware store. I didn't have a way to reseal my tent or to repair it properly, so I had to find another solution. I went looking for just the basic hardware store tarp and came up with a pretty good design that works really well actually, with just a basic lightweight hardware store tarp, some duct tape and some tie line pretty much. So what I want to do is just go over that build today. It's really simple, it's really effective, it's actually really lightweight. I can't speak much for the durability or longevity of it. We all know that these light duty hardware store tarps are not really permanent solutions. We know they don't last a really long time, but in a pinch, DIY camping project, this is pretty cool. So let's go over that build. This is just your simple 8x10 hardware store tarp. So the one I came up with while we were hiking was a bright blue color. I used unicorn and rainbow duct tape just for the fun of it. But this one I'm going to build for more of a stealthier tarp. Maybe places that I want to disappear into the woods. We got camo. So first of all, I like a square tarp. One, mostly because of the flexibility it has in its setups. If you're just going for your basic A-frame every time, which is really what I'll mostly do, the rectangle tarp's fine. But the other reason that I like to cut it down is that a 10-foot long tarp is just more to manage. It's more to handle and set up. I have a 12x12 camping tarp that, though it's great for covering a lot of area, a large area, it's a lot of setup, and it's a lot more to manage. So cutting it down 8x8 is one, a smaller pack size, and two, just easier to set up. And the square, like I said, is it has so much versatility in its setup. Second, what I found was these grommets, as soon as I started to put any real tension on them, just ripped right out. So what we have to do is reinforce them with duct tape. And so first we're going to go ahead and cut it down to size that we want. We're going to tape off our cut, and then we're going to start reinforcing these grommets with duct tape and create our tie outs. And that's basically it. So let's get started with the cut. And now the easiest way to get it square without actually measuring anything is to just fold from the short side, fold down the long side, and come over to the long side edge. And now it looks like it's right on this fold. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut it right off at that fold, and then we should have basically our 8x8 square. Of course, you want to keep your knife sharp for that. Okay, so this end, if we leave it the way it is, it's going to fray and fall apart. So that's when we start our taping. Fold a piece of duct tape over the end of it here. And in the end, we'll be doing more reinforcement with the grommets and everything. So we just need this one. We just need this one piece for now, and we're gonna just fold it over like that and go all the way down this side of the tarp. Okay, so now we got this in all taped up. Now we're going to take the grommets that we cut off and put them back on this side of the tarp. So starting with the corners, I'll just cut the corner out. and tape it on to here. So I'll do one wrap like this. And I'll do a wrap the other direction. Okay. Now that's our corner tie out. And we could add a little extra duct tape here if we think this isn't going to be strong enough, but I think that's looking pretty good. We'll do the other side. And for tarp work, I like this thinner, more flexible tape, like the duct or the duct brand or the 3M, because it flexes with the tarp. I've noticed that like the thick Gorilla tape you would think would be better because you think it's stronger, but really it doesn't flex and stretch with the tarp, so it actually doesn't hold to the tarp as well as this thinner, more flexible tape does. You actually need a little bit of that flex in the tape so that it moves with the tarp. Okay, so now that we have our corners, we're gonna find our middle. Pick our middle grommet. And now I actually like to hang, something I like to do is have my middle grommet hanging off of the tarp, and that gives me just more room to tie it off with. It gives me kind of a nice pull on my tie line. And so the way I do that, instead of taking it from here and pulling out of the middle of the tarp, I like to make it kind of hang off the tarp like that. So I'm going to just create that tab with the duct tape. Like that. Fold it over. And we'll do a few of those to make it extra durable. Okay, there's 4 strips of duct tape. That ain't moving. That's nice and strong. Okay. So there's one side done. And now all I'm going to do is continue taping off all of my grommets the same way that I did this one. Just adding layers of duct tape over and around these until they're nice and strong, and then I'll come back and work on the tie out. Okay, so we're creating our tie out. These are our guy lines or tie out points. And I like to have a taut line on one side and a bow line on the other. And so first I'll just make my taut line. This tiny little string's hard to work with. And that'll look something like that. And what it does is it just pulls tight. And then, so for my corners, I'll just reach out. That's about 6 feet. And then I'm going to tie a fixed loop on the end, which is the bow line. So we're going to do that 4 times. Now with the hiking tarp, I used 2 more in the center because it was made to actually freestand with my trekking poles. But this one we're going to set up with a ridge line between 2 trees. So we're not going to tie out any guy lines to the center points, but we are going to use them eventually on our ridge line. So we'll go ahead and do that now. The reason I use the ridge line is because it's pretty easy. It's much easier than setting up freestanding with the trekking poles. And the way we did that is on this side of our line we've got a taut line, and on the other side we're doing a trucker's hitch, which allows us to pull it really tight. Here we're doing 2 prusiks, one on either side. Prusik is something that allows you to slide the tarp or to slide your knot back and forth, but when there's tension put on it, it doesn't move. And I'll go over that, and I just use a simple toggle. Just run the loop through the grommet and run a simple toggle in there, and so that way you can just pull your tarp tight and it holds tight. And then on our stakes we used our taut line and our bow line. My dog's chasing chickens. I'll be right back. It's actually come with something that I lost. I'm using the bright yellow because big trucks. Oh geez, I can't tie it upside down and backwards. So I don't trip on it. Those dogs are barking at the chickens. It's a good loop. Jeez. Anyways, I forgot where I was. Yellow twine. Oh, how about that?